What's going on, everybody? It's the Scene Snob here again, and it is John Carpenter Appreciation Week at thescenesnobs.com. And what that means is every show that we're doing, all seven as of this week, that's right, this brand new show, and I will talk about that a little bit more, but all seven shows are going to incorporate John Carpenter's movies in some way. So we did They Live on the 20-Minute Wrestling podcast. We're going to have multiple Scene Snob reviews. We're going to, Married Movie Challenge between Mrs. Scene Snob and I, the Scene Snobs podcast, everything. So it's very exciting just to show some love for one of our favorite directors of all time and his body of work. Now, with that being said, this is a brand new Scene Snobs review, but it is not a brand new movie. Usually I try to keep with brand new movies coming in and out, but I decided this week that I'm going to try and attempt to watch the three, actually I think it's four John Carpenter movies I haven't seen. Well, now it's three because I've seen Dark Star, and that's what this review is for today. This is Scene Snob Reviews, Dark Star, and then I'm going to try and add the rest as the week goes on. But for now, just hit like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Also, go to the website, thescenesnobs.com. Check out our other podcasts on many different platforms. Make sure you subscribe there. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Scene Snob. And we're all over that. And, we often reach out and we talk to people. And, I love hearing from everybody. And let me know how I'm doing. So, without further ado, this is The Scene Snob Reviews Dark Star. So, it was a 1974 sci-fi movie that John Carpenter directed, his first movie out of college. And he wrote it as well with Dan O'Bannon. Now, you may know Dan O'Bannon from Aliens fame as a writer. And Dan O'Bannon was actually in the movie as well. So, the movie follows a group of, how do we put this? I don't want to say mercenaries. They're not mercenaries, but their job is to go out because now the universe is being colonized. So the Dark Star, which is the name of their ship, goes out and they actually will blow up maybe problem planets or things that could get in the way of the colonization of different planets that work for us. So it's pretty twisted premise alone, but this follows. They've been in space for 20 years. There's 5 guys. One of them is the captain, who is frozen. He had been frozen for a long time, cryogenically, after a mishap while piloting the ship. And then it's also a comedic turn of watching these 4 guys deal with being in space for 20 years. So, but they've only aged about 3, based on relativity, I'm sure, a 1974 theory of it. So, with that being said, I don't want to get too much into it. Check it out if you're a big John Carpenter fan. I think it's worth it. I always think it's worth going to see what directors' older movies look like compared to what they've done along the way. And, I've done that with plenty of directors, and I'm surprised it took me this long to see Dark Star from John Carpenter. I wasn't a huge fan of it. The comedy for me, was very dated. It probably would have been dated even if I watched it 20 or 30 years ago. But it was such an ambitious project. I mean, this is before Star Wars, and this is, so the sci-fi element of it was pretty fresh and pretty inventive in a lot of ways. And the way he shot it, the whole elevator scene with Pinback, who's the character Dan O'Bannon plays in the movie, and the beach ball alien thing was pretty crazy. All I could say was crazy, but for the time and for a limited budget of $60,000, it was, I get it. And for 1974, I get it, and it still played out. It was still pretty cool to see the interaction, the comedic interaction between Pinback and this this beach ball, essentially. So all of it ended very, I don't want to say pessimistically. It wasn't pessimistic, but it ended in not even a down note, but just not in a happy ending either. So like it was kind of a cynical ending, I guess I'll say. But it kind of reminded me of the ending of Doctor Strangelove. Now, as much as I love John Carpenter, I'm not putting him on that level of like a Doctor Strange, Dark Star, especially putting him on that level of Doctor Strangelove or Stanley Kubrick. But in his own way, it was pretty cool to see, especially how this all played out, how it ended, and the special effects for the time were kind of fun to watch, especially for a brand new first time director. So, as much as I maybe didn't enjoy it as much, I still walked away from it feeling like, I know where this guy went. I know what this guy's made, his legacy, and I can see why he built that legacy from this movie. So I would definitely say go check out Dark Star if you're a John Carpenter fan. And I definitely see where like Dan O'Bannon broke off in it, and with his sci-fi love of sci-fi. It was very cool to, like I kind of thought about it. I was like, how cool would it have been if, Ridley Scott and Alien is a great movie, but how cool would it kind of been if they had gotten John Carpenter to do that? Maybe they teamed up again. So, and then I started thinking about like what would an Alien movie by John Carpenter be like. But regardless, really fun little watch. Very cool stuff. Especially, it's very inspiring if you're a filmmaker and you do indie stuff, and just to kind of give you a sense of like what your imagination can do when your funds and such are limited. But yeah, so check it out if you're a John Carpenter fan. Now, I'm going to try and do a few more of these. I want to watch Memoirs of Invisible Man. I want to watch Elvis, which I haven't seen. And he also made a TV movie that I think it's Someone Knows You're, or someone was watching. I have to double check that, but I want to watch those two and do Scene Snob reviews as well if I can find them. Oh, and The Ward. That's right. I did not watch The Ward. I've seen everything else except for these movies with them, so The Ward is going to be another one that I do. And I will do a Scene Snobs review for each one for my appreciation of John Carpenter and his body of work. Hope you guys love them too. Check out all the shows. Remember, go to scenesnobs.com. We're going to be covering a whole bunch of stuff. The 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast came out yesterday. We have a new podcast, myself with Brian Patrick from the Skyline Indie Film Festival, called Pulling Focus Podcast. So go check that out. That'll be fun. It's a great podcast. But anyway, check out the scenesnobs.com and go from there. I know it's kind of hokey, but I mean, that's what I do here. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you watch Dark Star and enjoy it as well. So take care, and until next time, I am the Scene Snob. Take care.